was a hypo, and I'm like, welcome to Comics League Movie Night. I am Jared. I'm here with Robert. What's up, dude?
Yo, what up? Here we are to talk about the bridging movie, the unofficial bridging movie between Justice League and Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah, because so this
I still look at it like that.
Yeah, because here's the thing, and Watchtower Database did a video on this, and that you could take some of this as like you could say that like some variation of these events happen
for the most part.
Because originally it started off as the movie Justice League Worlds Collide, and it was supposed to be, like Robert said,
a bridge. That's why you get it, and we look at it. It does answer some questions like, what happened to John? What happened? How did Diana get the invisible jet?
Yeah, exactly.
And the creation of the Watchtower.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, what's up, NJ? What's up, Cameron?
The teleportations.
Yeah, the teleporter and stuff. And arguably, you could say that like some variation of this happened and that led to Jessica becoming a lantern.
To a degree.
You could. I mean, that one's a little looser because it's not like it's a ring.
Yeah, but I'm saying, no, as far as anything that bridged between Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, nothing that came out well after the pact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That looks, and again, I personally am interested still. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And what could have been,
Yeah, and let me put it to you this way. I'm just going to tell you this right here. This is a great movie. Like, fan-freaking-tastic. So let's talk about the voice cast first, because that's one of the highlights.
Some big names, some unique names.
Yeah, and there's only one of these I don't like. So let's
get out of the way.
Let's start with
Billy Baldwin
as Batman. I do not like his Batman voice.
No, me neither.
Sounds too much like he's trying to be dollar store Kevin Conroy, and
not even that, because he doesn't even have any rats. He just normal talk.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those kids where I'm like, is this the best you could have got? Romano, Andrea.
Mm-hmm.
Like Andrea Romano's like, is this the best you could have gotten?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, she's
usually good. She's usually good at that stuff.
Yeah, he is literally the only one where I'm like, no, I don't like that Batman voice.
I was saying, Mark Harmon, Superman, no, polar opposite.
I like that because he has like a southern drawl slightly, and that works for a character that grew up in Kansas. Of course, he would have that.
And Harmon doesn't usually do these type of projects. I just looked, and besides NCIS and Freaky Friday and being in Freakier Friday, he hasn't done that much work.
And I'm going to tell you this, Vanessa Marshall is one of my favorite Wonder Woman voice actresses of all time.
Torres would kind of count as Superwoman.
Yeah, Gina Torres is Superwoman. You know what's kind of funny? So normally Superwoman is the Lois Lane of Earth 3, and it's Mary Marvel. I'm like, oh, that's new.
And she's the only actor from this movie who reprised herself in the Lego DC supervillains.
Yeah.
As Superwoman, and I thought that was really good. Of course, and then of course, the legendary James Woods Owlman, the highlight of everything.
And Damien Ray says we both
looked into it. That's the only line that Baldwin got right. I think.
I'm going to tell you that. But also, Batman kills in this movie.
He sent him to die.
He knows he leads to that.
Actually, no. He left him a chance to choose.
No.
Yes.
No.
If you remember at the machine, it says go back, and Owlman chose not to.
No, I'm not talking about Owlman. He technically kills Johnny Quick. Because he knows what's going to happen to Flash, so he switches them.
Yo, you knew this was going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the same time, no. It's also the case where someone had to die for that. That's the case where
I know that, but Batman's actions led to someone dying.
That's true, but I think that again, that was the case where he was going to decide someone was going to die regardless.
Still, but my point is, again, justifiable. And if Batman is placed in a situation, he's gonna choose the way he.
Oh, that's the case where, and you also make the argument he juggled it all. There was no other option, and they're on a ticking clock.
Mm-hmm.
I think we agree to that. That was the case where like they knew they weren't going to have time.
Yeah.
That's why I can justify that. Again, the Owlman one, he did not. Owlman chose.
Oh yeah. I am 100% in line. He did not kill like Owlman. I watched this animated film for ages. Well, Kari, you should. It's awesome. Hey, what's up, Hunter? Alec Baldwin.
For ages, yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, but James Woods, I think, is the best choice. And I was telling Robert about this before we went live. I like how they didn't, because they could have easily done they could have 100% easily done the lazy option and just had the same Justice League people voice. That's what you expect because these are the evil versions of the Justice League.
But they're so different. They decided they should have different voices.
The idea of basically structuring this like a mafia movie is genius.
Now, again, Dwayne. Oh, perfect.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That is freaking. That is
Brian Bloom. Brian Bloom did a pretty good job as Ultraman. Kind of standard, but
yeah, exactly.
Would you agree with that? He was kind of standard, but I would say
I still like it.
The one role I did not like, and I'm not blaming the actor. I'm blaming the changes. Bruce Davidson as Slade.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Again, I hate that one.
Nothing against Bruce. He was perfect for what he was given.
And honestly, in a better script, I think he would have been a great Slade Wilson.
But for the way this was done here, it didn't work. And then Rose, that was Rose in name only.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, you know what's kind of funny? They reference that when like he's leaving, and like with my luck, she'll be a bad guy on our Earth.
Twitch is like, hey. Ooh, I will pause it now when I'll be like,
Well, here's the thing.
No, she just be too young. I would just say, no, she just be too young for you, John.
Arguably, she kind of is in this. So I'm like,
But between them, she would be a kid.
Yeah, I know, but with Jean?
But yeah, but...
Also, can I say this? I love where Red Arrow, I'm calling him that, tries to kill the daughter, and Martian Manhunter turns into a demon and goes after him. It kind of shows how scary Jean can be.
Also, I gotta say, the Jester.
Yeah, that's cool. And Harley's a monkey.
Of course.
I love that.
It's like,
that is great.
And he was a shoulder monkey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
No. Yeah, Tevya. That was made clear. That was President Slade Wilson. Why does he get the eye patch?
That's why he has the eye patch now. And her name is Rose. So I'm like, again.
The Rose was the worst part, but the Slade is like, Bruce could do it, but the way it's been handled here, it's not even Slade.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree with that? Like, Lex, you can still tell it's Lex. Yeah. You know what it should have been? President Waller.
Oh, yeah, there you go. That would have been a better option.
And she would have still been good.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I love his last line. It doesn't matter. And honestly, for a nihilist, that's actually a great direction to take this this movie that's involving the multiverse. Let's just take out all the worlds because
I know. I love it. I was like, you're insane. On the contrary, there are some versions of me you might find quite charming.
Yeah. Again,
no more debate.
Honestly, the best written character in this movie is Owl.
And again, yep. And I'll say this: when it comes again with James Wood, the fact he's so emotionless, and yet you can so tell the moment when he does, like, actually, I thought I'd beat you to death. Like, you can still tell there's like a rage there, and yet he's so composed.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree with that? Like, he's juggling multiple emotions without emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. But it's like so obviously it's based partly so it's based on two comics. This, and I know it's based on this because I got the edition that came with the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's based on War on Earth 3, I think it's called, or one. Or
no, that was the more recent event. Christ on Earth 3 is what you're thinking of.
Yeah, it's Christ on Earth 3. So it's based on those two. It adapts this pretty decently. The part that it doesn't adapt, which I'm glad, they took out the Grant Morrisonian thing where essentially it's like on Earth 3 in this, it's like everything goes toward evil.
No, they didn't go there.
I'm like, yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, again, this movie was really good. And again, yeah, making Superwoman be the Mary Marvel was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the fact we also, it's like, what do you need that invisible plane for? You can fly.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah,
and the fact that the movie ends with a membership drive.
Yeah. I love with this. So when the people show up, this is my favorite Black Canary moment. You want to hear a secret? And he just screams in his ear.
I know. I've got a secret.
I just love that. Oh, I love careful, Aquaman. They're stronger with you. That remains to be seen.
That remains to be seen.
And that was even the at the time lamer Aquaman. The graphic novel, it's the actual like badass Aquaman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So okay, Tevia. Normally, she is a Wonder Woman variant, but she is the Wonder Woman variant. She's occupying that role on the Crime Syndicate, but in this, instead of being Lois, she is Mary Marvel, which I'm like, it kind of makes sense considering her
and allows us then to have the like the Uncle Marvel or Uncle Super in this case.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, in this version, and again, Gina Torres just nailed it.
Because here's the thing, Gina Torres is because because she nails the like seductive nature of this version of I'm gonna call it of this version of Wonder Woman, because that's who Superwoman is. It's like a more evil, seductive version of Wonder Woman, and she has that evil voice in there that you.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm so glad she came back for the Lego DC.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then you also have with Marshall playing Wonder Woman. She kind of has this seductive like tone to her voice, but it's more like badass
and a bit of an unintentional seductive. It's like she's not even trying.
And also more warm. Like when she tells Flash, "Do you really think he would test a teleporter on you if he didn't know that?"
Oh yeah, because that's what they open up with the teleporter test.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I really appreciate that. But so that but no, she voiced her, but she's not doing it now.
No, she did. Yeah, no, he's right though saying that she did voice her for up until 2013.
Yeah, because I believe they changed it to Eisenberg.
Yeah,
because I was just playing that game and I was like, that's not Gina Torres.
Yeah, no. So at first it's like how it's like how Tara voiced Harley for a while, and then eventually Jen Brown from Red vs. Blue, Rooster Teeth stuff. Took over.
Oh, Carolina. All right, dope.
Carolina. She did take over as Harley afterwards.
NJ says, why there never...
Yeah, that's true. There usually hasn't been.
The only time I've ever seen like an evil Wonder Woman being Earth 3, okay, so there's the Earth 3 series that relatively just came out, where it's Donna Troy, and then... and Evil Diana. Yeah, it's just that one, because I think what they established in the Earth 3 comics that came out relatively recently is that Diana was still like nice, so she was like killed for being weak, and then Donna became like
for that version, yeah,
essentially that's the way that version worked, which I like that storyline. That was cool.
Yeah, but I'm still trying to. I think it's also because you have Damnation Island and all that.
Yeah, exactly. I did like the voice actor who voiced Flash. Yeah, he was also really good. It's very in the vein of like Rosenberg, of like Eisenberg.
Rosenberg. No. Yeah.
Of the DCAU Flash is what I'm talking about. The fact that Owlman is not an evil Batman, but rather a version of his older brother Thomas Jane is criminally underused story element. Well, here's the thing, Pika. They can't use everything in this movie.
They can't. Exactly. They can't. And remember, this is following the DCAU where you broad stroke things anyway.
Yeah, so I disagree that they have to bring in every single plot element for all these characters.
That's one thing I sometimes have to argue with Pika on sometimes. Like, they can't do everything, dude.
Yeah, because these movies are only supposed to be like an hour and a half max. They can't fit that much and cover the broad strokes of the
no offense, Pika. No offense.
No hate whatsoever. I get what you're saying that, but realistically, particularly, and I say this as someone that had conversation with Sam Liu, that's not feasible, because there's so much in this they could have done. Like Brainiac is in this as an AI.
Yeah, like I said, by the way, Gina Torres also is Vixen.
Yeah. Whenever I watched it, I was thinking, why is there so much sexual tension between them? We watched it before the stream and saw who the producer was, and it makes a lot of sense. Oh, who's
No, I don't think that's why. There's always between Owlman and
yes, on
Superwoman.
those two, it's always a thing. In fact, in the comics, at least in the new 52, she was for lack of a better term, bouncing between Ultraman and Owlman.
Yep.
So,
Ultraman just to keep it. And Ultraman is more so she can keep him under control. Owlman, who she really wants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So
well, and again, yeah, Pika, but at the same time,
you can't do that for a movie.
Especially a movie that, again, was meant to be a TV movie.
That was supposed to be a TV. They cannot do all that stuff.
And again, Tevia, look at this way in the DCAU. How often do we get the backstories of characters in their first appearance?
Did you call Pika Tevia?
Pika.
Yeah, they can't cover everything. So it's like...
I'm so sorry.
No, it's all good. They can't cover everything, Pika. That's just the whole thing there.
All right, do we consider Crisis on Infinite Earth to be a shameful No!
This is not my first language, so I want to know, is the term super better than ultra or something? I think it's like a synonym thing.
Yeah, it's similar.
It's similar, yeah. I guess they just do that because opposite.
Let me phrase that. Pika, let me put it this way. How often did they give, unless we were seeing their origins, how often did we get the backstory to a lot of the DCAU villains in their first appearance? It was usually their second appearance where we got it.
Yeah, or they gave it a 2-part episode. If this were part of like an animated universe, a movie spinning off from this, yeah, you could do that.
And if this was made, we would have gotten episodes that followed up. But they didn't, and they probably didn't want to bother.
Yeah, you can't expect them to fit in an hour-and-a-half movie. Because here's the thing, Pika. Here's what I'm going to say. Be honest with me. Let's say they cut out the Rose Wilson part and had to speed run through all the origins. You would have still complained and said that they speed ran through the origins.
You can't have it both ways. The main plot was stopping the crime syndicate.
Yeah, that's it. They show up to fight us.
Yep, the subplot was Martian Manhunter was meant to be give a reason to why he was written out. I'm positive.
They didn't go into a lot of the crime syndicate's origin in the graphic novel either.
That's true.
They're just there.
I was going to say, with Martian Manhunter, I'm positive the original TV movie ending would have had him stay. But because they weren't beholden to it, they had him leave.
Jean didn't leave.
I thought he did.
No, he chose to come back.
You're right. No, you're right. You're right. It's been a while. Hey, I'm going off of memory because it's been a while since I've rewatched it.
Told them in dialogue too. Again, that's wasted dialogue. That's not like that would even be worse because it's like, oh, you're just throwing it off with like a few lines.
Well, no, he is saying that in 2 Earths 2, the novel, Lex did describe it.
Yeah, but again, that's not like you have to advance it. You don't have the space for this stuff in an anime movie that you do with a graphic novel. You just don't.
Yeah, and again, you do, especially when the movie.
By the way, Pika, I know you. You would have also called that out if they did that.
Yep, and remember, it was only up to an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah, and also Tevye brings up a good point. How many people actually care about the Earth 3 backstories?
I mean, to be fair, most people don't even know Superwoman's full backstory.
Yeah, exactly.
The only one they care about is Ultraman and Owlman.
Yeah, they didn't even give like an origin for. They gave an origin for Owlman and Ultraman in the new 52, but and you know what's kind of funny? They gave the origin for all the Crime Syndicate people except for Superwoman.
Exactly.
So it's
to be fair, as a kid, I should make this clear. Technically, Superwoman is evil Diana, but she called herself Lois. That's what I just looked on Wiki. She is technically Diana from Damnation Island, but when she came to Man's Land, she changed it to Lois.
Is that like even counting like the Forever Evil versions?
Since we didn't get any backstory on that's hard to say.
Yeah, because I'm like, it's fine if that's post-crisis ones, but I'm like,
well, yeah, it says the New 52 just simply says alternate version of both Lois and Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we never got that officially, so it could be one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always just found that weird that would be she's the lowest.
Yeah, exactly.
We got Talon. Talon wasn't around when this was done.
Yeah, exactly. So they can't. Yeah, exactly.
They can't do something they don't know.
Johnny Quick barely got any backstory besides Atomica. Yeah, exactly. And Hunter says, "What if Superwoman is in the absolute universe? Why would she be in the absolute universe?
Why would the Crime Syndicate at all be in there?
Yeah, that's not like
one. Remember this: Earth 3 is an alternate evil universe. Why would the absolute universe already have its own Earth 3? Why would Darkseid be? Darkseid's influence cannot go beyond the one universe.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like they can't do that. And this Earth, yeah, it's like it starts off pretty crappy, but the fact that there are superheroes in this Earth indicates that there's a part of it that goes to good, which is interesting. A universe created with Darkseid energy still leans toward good. Isn't that funny?
I think so too, but I think also because Darkseid knows that if he goes there, he won't be able to influence it as much.
Yeah, exactly. So I always felt that's kind of interesting. A universe where Darkseid should have the most influence. But anyway.
But again, no. Even if he has all that influence, it's clear he can only encourage things. He can't. He's not like he's like, you go there, you go there.
Also, but right now, Donna is the leader of the Crime Syndicate of Earth 3, and Ultraman is imprisoned in the Phantom Zone.
Whoa! I'm kidding.
Well, yeah. Here's the thing, Robert. Didn't Ultraman get his neck snapped by Injustice Superman?
But as we already know during Dark Knight's Death Metal, that Earth 3 is one of those guaranteed ones where they somehow come back.
That's just BS. Just don't do it then.
Well, there's always like a reset, and I look at it this way. The moment he died, his world had a reset because remember, they always need a Superman or his equivalent on the world.
And you know how I would have handled that storyline? I would have had John be placed in like the Man of Steel situation, like where John takes out Ultraman.
Yeah, but I think that would kind of get what Taylor's been wanting to do with him.
No, I know, but I'm saying if I were in charge of it instead of Taylor, if I were writing the book. Now, and you could have John deal with and you could have Clark reference like Exile when he killed the Kryptonians, had to deal with that trauma, if you will. Oh yeah, you could have done that, but again, I don't know what the heck story. Yeah, I meant to say Earth 3, but Earth universe is not a multiverse. Exactly, Iggy. Hunter, there's only the one universe. Darkseid is already barely stretched thin as it is. It's one Earth. It's literally just one Earth that previously was unmapped, that they didn't know what it was. Now, give it time. I'm sure eventually it'll spawn its own scene, but Darkseid won't have any control over those. Yeah, he's not going to do that. By the way, a question. Speaking of the movie, I'm just wondering, who's your favorite character moment? I like where Wonder Woman is fighting the Amazon character, and she just whacks her with the spear. Yep. When she gets a knocked back, and Hal goes, "I got her," and then Wonder Woman goes, "No, she's mine." Of course. Yeah, I think that was supposed to be like Hawk Girl to a degree. I think. Yeah, that was supposed to be. Yeah, that was supposed to be Shire at the beginning. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of characters that if you know DC Comics, you know who they're doing. Like Red Arrow again is obviously Oliver Queen. Black Siren. Jed Jarkis is the evil Martian Manhunter. So apparently the Amazon warrior is supposed to be Donna. Oh, that's cool. And by the way, one other thing I love is even Dwayne McDuffie made it clear. Owlman's plan was pointless. Yeah, because he's gonna take out everyone. Even if he does destroy it, it's just gonna have another Earth Prime that continues on. But didn't the movie try and make it clear that if you take out this one Earth, all reality ends? That's what Owlman was thinking, but Dwayne made it clear, no. It just would have created a world where it was destroyed. So essentially, he would have just blown up that Earth? And that Earth, but another Earth would have continued on. So essentially, let me see if I understand this. So that's what he said. And he basically saying, in that moment when he said it didn't matter, he realized it. So let me get, so I understand this. Let's say Owlman succeeded and blew up just that one Earth. Nothing would have happened on the others. Oh, nope. Wow. That's great. I love that. Exactly. It was just that's exactly what Dwayne McDuffie, before he passed away, had said. It was all for nothing. because I'm like, in all my knowledge of the multiverse, that's never been a thing.
Well, no, to be fair, to a degree, it has been some version, but in this one, I was trying to make clear, no, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, because I'm like, how would blowing up one Earth like that?
Well, it's supposed to be Earth Prime.
That's not spawning like universes.
But that's what they're saying. They're saying this is supposed to be the first Earth. They said this was Earth Prime. The only time that I've seen that work was in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one, where they make it clear. You take out the Mirage version, you take them all out.
Yeah, because they all came from that. Donna manhandling Superwoman in epic fashion. Yeah, that was also great when she goes submit. I love, and they're all fighting each other's like doppelgangers. But Wonder Woman fighting Superwoman will never not be cool. This movie has made damage in making people not remember that we are Earth Prime. No, it hasn't.
Pika, you're giving
the comics. That's Earth. We are Earth Prime.
Pika, I think you're giving this too much credit. Most people don't even think about this movie anymore.
Yeah, and by the way, we're not Earth Prime anymore. In the comics, the main DC universe is Earth Prime.
The only thing Earth Prime has, no, I don't think he's saying Earth Prime as in we're the one where you take us out, that's it. I think he is talking about the general definition of the word Earth Prime.
Yeah, but we are not anymore.
We are still Earth Prime. We're just not the founding Earth. We're just Earth Prime where we exist.
No, I think he's talking about like the like Superboy Prime's Earth. Like we are Earth Prime.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We are and that's our Earth Prime. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is still our Earth Prime. That is still.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, in the multiverse books that come out now, they refer to the main DC universe as Earth Prime.
Okay. I think that goes under two different things. There's the Prime Earth and Earth Prime.
No, but in the like headings, they refer to it as Earth Prime.
Hold on, let me check.
I remember seeing that, and I'm like, yeah, that hasn't been a thing for a while.
Let me check.
Pick any book that from relatively nowadays that deals with the multiverse.
All right. Hold on.
Pika says we are Earth Prime. Main Earth is either Earth Zero or Prime Earth after Flashpoint. Before
Prime Earth. That's what they call Prime Earth, not Earth Prime.
I thought it was Earth Prime.
Hold on. Let me go to the Dark Crisis Big Bang. Let me go to the Dark.
That is stupid to label as Prime Earth when you have an Earth called Earth Prime. That is the stupidest thing ever.
I'm checking Dark Crisis Big Bang. That's the most recent one.
Try that.
I am. So give me a moment. So hold on. Let me scroll to the back. I love that one shot. By the way. And who wrote that? Mark Waid.
Yep.
So it's fitting now he's doing the it's Earth Zero.
Okay. My mistake then.
It is. So they do call it Earth Zero, and it's even he says my Earth.
Yeah, but again, the point still stands that Pika, how do you know that like the majority of DC Comics fans have seen this movie enough for that to damage it?
Yeah, Pika, I think you're blowing that a little out of proportion.
Yeah, it's not like, and plus it's not like it's a thing that's referenced all the time. That's my point.
It's not. I mean, unless you know some people, and tell us if that's the case.
Yeah, and he says, our Dark Crisis PTM was over a year ago. I have not rewatched it for a long time.
Yeah, but we just confirmed you were technically, yeah, it's still Earth Zero.
Yeah, okay, but anyway, but with this movie, it's like, I'm glad that they established that, like, yeah, Owlman would not have done what he thinks he would have done. That's great. I love that.
Yep. I mean, now everyone else went in thinking that, but that's why he's the only one who realized it afterward, and that's why he said, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I love how conveniently every Earth that they went to had oxygen for them to breathe.
And to be fair, also, technically, Pika, that Earth wasn't a wasteland. That Earth was at the beginning of time.
Yeah, so who knows what happened on that Earth? Because
No. This is before everything. He was trying to get it at the earliest possible point. So this was an Earth that probably just formed.
But why were there like structures and stuff on there, like columns?
Oh, good point.
That's my point. I think he says it like had a cataclysm or something like that.
So yeah.
So I'm like,
well, you can make the argument it had a cataclysm because they had no heroes.
Well, yeah, okay, fine, but again, like this way, Pika. Between you and me, you expect them to fit too much exposition into these movies.
Sometimes I do. That is one criticism I will have with Pika, some of his videos. Yeah, I think you're sometimes like putting too high expectations.
Yeah, because it's like they don't have the time to fit all this stuff in there. Speaking of Owlman, I am curious about something. Why did he share his plan with Superwoman? Because he knew
she would side with him.
Yeah, exactly. And because they were dating at the time.
And she's such a nihilist. Now, remind me, did she know about the destruction of everything, though? I think that's the one thing he kept.
No, he did say that.
Oh, he did? All right.
He said it would lead to, like, destroying everything, all of reality.
And she didn't seem to care.
Yeah. I think she wanted to do it for the hell of it.
Oh, no. She thought he was going to be holding it hostage.
No, I think no. That was the original plan of the Crime Syndicate, why they greenlit the whole plan. Right. They were going to hold the Earth hostage.
And he was just going to destroy it.
He was just going to destroy the entire multiverse.
Wait, I feel like this movie's carried by its themes. What?
I think what he means in terms of like choice and stuff, and that this movie is carried by how deep it is. That is true. This movie has great themes, but it's also generally a pretty good movie. I think so. And the animation is well done, and again, voice cast is freaking superb, and this movie effectively summarized what the multiverse actually is. It's like if you make a choice, a world has happened where you made the opposite choice. That's the multiverse. That's
why the opposite would have happened.
Yeah, exactly.
If he had destroyed the Earth, an Earth that wasn't destroyed would have appeared.
Because he's still making that choice. By his own rules, that's the way this works.
By the rules of the multiverse.
Yeah, so, and I'm like, again, I don't know why they have to come up with some really stupidly complicated explanation of the multiverse. Why don't you just make it so it's just, if you make a choice, a world where you made the opposite choice happens. That's the multiverse. That's it. Yep. That's what I always explain it.
Yep, and sometimes now, as also Ultraman put it, some are just so minuscule it'll take you a lifetime to figure out, and instead are so drastic.
And then Pika says, or Kane and Angelus fell to that Earth for their world to that Earth in 2003, and the white.
I don't know what he's talking about there.
I have no idea.
I think he's referencing that game he's been playing recently.
Okay, although I think most of the characters are characterized fine. Yeah, it's all good.
I love the fight between Owlman and Batman.
That was dope. And he goes, "You blinked." I love that. That's the difference.
You blinked.
I looked into the darkness and you blinked.
No, we both looked into the abyss. And when you look back, you blinked.
It's a shame they killed off Kara of Earth 3 Ultra Girl. She had good potential. That would have been kind of cool.
But again, no, this movie was. Now, here's the big question. How much of this was reworked from the original script? I think only about 10% was changed.
And here's the thing. I think that the DCAU, for the most part, considers this movie canon. There are some things, obviously, that are different, but the general plot.
Johnny and Quick's death wouldn't have happened. I don't think TV would have allowed that.
Yeah, but I was saying broad strokes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, they went to an alternate Earth. They fought the Crime Syndicate. And it makes sense, by the way, finding the Crime Syndicate, that they would lead to Unlimited, because when you see, because remember how, massive the network of criminals was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I know. I take back. John was still on the and went back home with them. I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, no. Wait. I was confused because I thought you said he left he left the Earth, the main Earth, to stay on Earth.
No. The original version, I think, would have had him leave.
Oh, okay.
And remember, John was missing.
Yeah, and by Pika, I never played that game, so that's kind of why I didn't like.
Oh, so he's taking he was just making a joke. He was making a joke.
Okay.
But yeah,
okay,
went over our heads.
Yeah, exactly. This is actually why I think an evil this is why I think an evil justice should be an evil crime.
Oh yeah,
different. It's a great idea to do it.
Hey, that's what Alan Moore tried to do with Twilight of the Superheroes.
Yeah, and again, you could see how this would inspire the League to expand, because if you see how much of how much of control of the world all those supervillains had. Yeah,
the Yakuza movie is pretty much like this.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Yeah.
It just dawned on me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Which we kind of got, or Justice Lords, yeah, but that's not the Crime Syndicate, though.
No, but I think I have a feeling, had this movie have happened, the Justice Lords would have been the Crime Syndicate.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
I have a feeling that would have them going back there.
Going back, like maybe they retake over the Earth and go back for like payback.
Now, granted, I do love the Justice Lords being just the Justice League going too far, because you had the great moment of President Lex and Superman just lobotomizing him.
Yeah, exactly. And he goes, "Are you okay? I'm just great."
Yeah, and that was a great, yeah.
And the costumes and stuff, I love that. Or like, "Hey, Superman, what's with all new costumes? We figured it was time for a change." I love that. That's awesome.
But it does feel like the Justice Lord movie was a bit of a
or maybe they would have just not done it.
Yeah, maybe. It does feel like that was their attempt to try and rework what they did.
Yeah, but basically it's like, because even with this, they make a new watchtower. It's like there's enough here.
Yeah, you can definitely tell this is after Star-Crossed.
Oh yeah, 100. This is definitely after Star-Crossed, because even that's how you can explain Hawkgirl not being on the League.
Exactly.
So it's like, and you can explain that, like, actually Watchtower database in their video, they said that the way you could kind of explain this is like Hal Jordan became a Green Lantern and he took over because John was taking a break because of what happened in Star-Crossed. That's still
that was definitely a change between the two.
Yeah, exactly. That's the one thing that like stands in there. So I'm like, if you wanted to try and make this movie fit, you could with that.
Yep. But like I said, I mean, that's why even when I have my DVDs, I put it right between.
Yeah, because you can, the broad strokes, you can imagine a form of this movie happened in between those two shows.
And like I said, in the original version, and all that stuff, like I said, John stayed.
Yeah, and by Pika says, weren't the Lords said to be based on some Wildstorm property, or maybe if the Justice League was a Wildstorm property? I remember
no, maybe I'd have to look that up. That sounds like a maybe.
I've never heard that, but I'm not saying it's not true. It's just I never heard it. That's just me.
Right, but I'll say this: at least the Justice League got a victory here, unlike in the Earth 2 graphic novel, where it was all for nothing.
Well, yeah, because in the Earth 2, because they took out the part where it's like this world will always is like predisposed to evil instead of good.
Although to be fair, at least Gotham was actually back under a good control.
Yeah, exactly. I was wondering why Hal Jordan Green Lantern in this. Probably because
Hal was the prominent Lantern by that point.
Yeah, because at this point he was back to life, right? And back to being a Lantern. So it's like that's why. So
yep. But like I said, I want to say again quite quickly that, like I said, Mark Harmon, I wish he would have done more Superman. He was like, it felt like he was tailor-made for it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, yeah. But now the other thing I will say, and I thought about this flipping through the Earth 2 graphic novel, I'm still not a fan of Frank Whiteley.
Really?
Because I find no one looks like, for lack of a better term, human.
True, but it's
everyone looks really weird, or like the women look like the men.
To be fair, I look at it this way: it's just a stylized look. There's a lot of artists who are stylized, who their characters don't look human at all.
Yeah, I know. It's like Riley Rossmo, exactly.
What did you think about the Crime Syndicate Martian Manhunter we saw at the beginning? How he's basically more human. I agree with Pika.
Real quick, Superman manhunting Batman or something else. He offered him a personal favorite toy, but he refused. Sad, yeah, I know. Mark Harmon should be the voice of Kingdom Come Superman if he was given a voice. Yeah,
I think that voice perfectly matches. That voice perfectly matches what I pictured.
Honestly, same with Wonder Woman.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, Vanessa Marshall is Wonder Woman because she sounds like an older Wonder Woman.
Exactly. But yeah, again, overall, this movie, I give it a strong 8 out of 10.
I give it a 9 out of 10.
Oh, it's close to 9. It is close to 9.
I love where Batman deploys a smoke screen and she inhales. He goes, "It's not a smoke. It's anesthetic gas."
I love that was
That is
so
such a
bad.
Batman thing to do. Make you think it's a smoke screen because he knows she's gonna inhale it.
I know, because that's what Superman would do.
Yeah, the Flash in this was Barry writers. They don't say.
This is during that point where they were hazy.
Yeah, but it's like, since they don't say, just
assume it's Wally because that's who it was.
Assume it's Wally, but also that's more of like the character, because what people forget, the Wally character is the more jokey Flash.
Yep. But unfortunately, there was that point where they would give the origins of certain characters to it.
Yeah, I know that I get what they wanted to do, because here's the thing with Kyle Rayner, it made sense because you can't do. Because if they tried to do the actual Kyle Rayner origin, that requires a ridiculous amount of setup, like a metric crop ton of setup. Because you got
that one made sense. That one made sense.
Yeah, but it's like the Wally West one. I'm like, okay, just there's so many different ways you can.
Well, no, actually, to be fair, that is similar, because if you have Wally, then you'd have to have the whole. There was a Flash before me, and I was Kid Flash.
Which Kid Flash does exist in the DCAU. By the way, NJ says it shouldn't have affected her, though, and she's empowered by magic. Can we consider this Batman's like? No, it's not, because here's the thing. A, that has happened, and B, we don't necessarily know if she has all the immunities of like actual Mary Marvel.
Yeah, even Mary doesn't. Even Mary has been affected by it. I mean, heck, Mary's gotten drunk before.
As long as it gets within her body, it will affect her.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, Mary is gone. Well, not drunk, but simulated drunk.
Would this affect actual Wonder Woman? I don't think so. I think that's when you get the magic empowered thing, but it's not necessarily.
But some versions have had Diana affected by drugs. I mean, that was a big part of Tower of Babel.
Well, that wasn't drugs. That was a machine in her ear. Right.
But wait, in the anime movie, wasn't that a dart or something that did it?
It was a poison scratched by Cheetah. Yeah.
It had.
But actually, wait. It was still nanobots, because that's what Cyborg. Because it was Cyborg blaster to overload the nanobots.
But nanobots can still affect on a biological level, even though it's machine.
It was still like some technology.
But it was still affecting her biology, is what I'm saying. Which is what a drug would do.
Yeah, that's not a plot. That's not a Bat God type of thing. I'm not. I think it would affect Superman.
Yeah, exactly. It would affect, even Superman can be affected by it if it's it has to be laced with kryptonite for it to work. But yes,
which if Batman uses a gas on Superman, assume it's laced with kryptonite.
Yeah,
he's not gonna just do it.
And laced enough that it won't kill him, but it will allow it to affect the drugs or whatever.
This is coming from someone that complains regularly about Bat God stuff. This is not a Bat God scenario.
No. This is something that I'm sure Batman is probably. It's not a contingency plan to take down, but it's a contingency plan to what's the word, to subdue.
Now, you know what you could do? My headcanon for this. So I'm taking this as not it's as part of the universe of Justice League Doom. This inspires Batman to create the contingency plan, the events of this movie, seeing Evil League.
Exactly.
That's what I'm convinced. They don't say it, but it was kind of funny. In the opening credit sequence of Doom, they show clips from this movie.
And I gotta say, I personally saw the 3 movies I see as canon.
This Doom and Flashpoint.
No, I was going to say Fatal 5.
Well, Fatal 5 is DCAU canon.
Actually, according to Bruce Timm, it didn't start out that way, but it kind of, he even says it can fit in it. He actually does not look at it as direct canon.
Really? Because someone asked him about it and he said, yeah, it's canon.
I'll double check that. I keep on getting mixed up with it.
Again, I'm going off of what Watchtower.
Right.
Is.
How did the other kryptonite affect Ultraman from the? They ignored. That's something they've never.
That's the part where I'm like, they obviously ignored that, because ordinarily the way it works is that they
too much
from another universe, but that's too much to explain.
That's where you get a little too much. So you can accept. Like, shouldn't Wonder Woman's divine biology? First of all, again, this is not Wonder Woman,
and we don't know the deal of this being like you're assuming that this Mary Marvel operates on the same rules as traditional Mary Marvel, like,
and as we've also seen, gods have in the DC universe have been affected by things like chemicals or stuff like that.
Yeah, so I'm not.
Ares has.
Yeah, so again, it's like until we like know more about her powers, how they work, I'm not necessarily holding that.
Let me just put it this way: divine. There's never been a divine biology. That I hate to say this, NJ. That sounds like something you're kind of making up because
the only person that I would say has the least possibility of being affected because he burns calories so much is Flash.
Flash would just.
That's the only character where
that's
I'm
a
like,
hypermetabolism. That's not some. Like I said, divine biology. That's like. Yeah, I've never heard that before.
Cameron says, do you prefer this Lex or Grant's version?
They're about the same.
They're about the same.
There's no real much difference between the two.
It's the same plot points. He shows up.
I'll just say this. I prefer this and Grant's version over Jeff's version. Mazaz.
Yeah, I hate that.
I'm sorry. I hated that. I'm like,
that is so dumb.
Why are you making him just as bad?
Yeah, why is he evil? It's supposed to be the good guy. I don't get this. Is that
is it supposed to? Maybe it's the case of the gods are evil.
Or maybe that like, or maybe it's essentially like
again.
Wait. Maybe it's a commentary on like power corrupts, and then Pika.
Pika, no, it's not unimaginative. It's not.
They have to simplify because again, that overcomplicates the multiverse for general audience people. Pika.
And look at how much the MCU has done damage to the multiverse because they overcomplicated. I'll say it. Use the clip. The one you love. You want.
Yay! Yay! I get to use this. Yeah, 3 times in 2 days. Hell yeah. Hang on.
Time travel.
How much has that ruined time travel and overly complicated?
How about ruining the stones the minute you see them as paperweights in Loki?
Yeah.
So I'm like,
but I'm going to say, no, this has over. Hey, Pika, I sent you a Discord DM. Could you respond to that, please?
Oh, and NJ, again, we're assuming that the same rules of Prime Earth, I'm going to say Prime Earth, affect this version of Mary Marvel.
Yeah, exactly. And God,
I think Marvel in name only.
And I think they're also talking about Wonder Woman again and again.
I could have said how poor somewhere. No, it's not that.
No, and Pika. I almost said it again.
It's not that.
Pika.
You're expecting them to translate literally every concept from the comic to the screen. And I got news for you. I don't want them to do that because it's not going to translate well.
Exactly. Stuff we comic nerds take for granted.
I approach this not as a comic book nerd, but as a normie, and it makes much more sense.
And again, especially the fact this was written with the TV audience in mind.
Yeah, because a lot of people, because you could argue a portion of the audience that would probably watch this, a portion, never read DC Comics, but just watched the show.
Remember this. I gotta be honest, because you're kind of being like how Bruce Timm originally wasn't going to have Brainiac be on Krypton. He's like, everyone knows, and then he realized, no, wait, no, they don't.
Yeah, so it's like you can't expect them to stay 100% aligned with the thing, particularly when you're making media. Assume for the most part a general audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, and exactly. But Tevin brings up a good point. You're already dealing with the multiverse in this movie. You do not want to overcomplicate that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, because as we've seen over the past 5 to 10 years, the multiverse has been screwed up by overly used in projects that are. I still say DC handles it better. They always have. I'm going to tell you, the Flash way of handling it is better.
Well, that too. Flash, I could say though, you can argue of all of DC's handles of the multiverse was one of their weakest. I will agree with you.
Yeah, but it's like I say that this movie's the strongest because literally
it's so simple.
If you make a decision, it creates a world where the opposite happens. That's it. That's all you got to know. That's it.
Yep. Thank you, Pika. By the way, thank you for responding.
That works.
But again, no. This was still a strong outing. But now here's the bigger question: which is the better movie, this or Doom?
Doom.
Doom
is simple enough, even though it changes some parts of Tower of Babel. I like how
And
it
Cameron,
involves
no,
the
Cameron,
rogue
no. They don't just keep it to the comics.
No. We're saying when they involve it,
Look,
they
even
do it
look at
better.
Peacemaker. They're keeping it simple.
Yeah, it's just he walks into another world. That's it.
And then there's another him. Boom! I'm taking his place.
Yeah, exactly. But with Doom, I like how it used the rogues of the instead of it just being like Ra's al Ghul. I like how it's like the rogues teaming up with Vandal Savage.
Right.
So I'm fine with that. And also, as far as I know, this line is not in the comic. I like when Superman goes, "You mean to tell me you had contingency plans for everyone but you?" And then Batman goes, "Yeah, I do. It's called the Justice League."
Which I am not a fan of Zdarsky made that canon in the regular DC universe when it's like that never happened.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not.
But he treated it like it is.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying I like that part of the movie.
Oh no, I did too. I'm just saying I did
And
not
also,
like how.
Zdarsky undermined that by saying, "No, I actually have a killer robot."
Well, no. That came about because Superman called him out, saying, "You just proved we can't stop you."
Yeah, but I'm like, you could have just simplified it.
Yeah, but I was saying Superman made it. That was a good point for Superman to make, though. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's like
you just wait. That's bull crap. Even Superman say that's bullshit.
Yeah. Tevye says, "Question. Speaking of Lex Luthor, I'm wondering how did you feel about Mazaz and Superman being a couple?
Being a couple.
Again, no. I do.
Oh no. Wait. It's Jeff Johns referencing pre-crisis Lex and Lois.
And I do like, again, evil Lois goes with the evil guy.
No. She wasn't evil.
No, I mean, in this story, in Forever Evil, I like that.
Well, yeah.
But, I mean, I didn't like it because, again, it refers back to us not liking, like Lex being Mazaz. I'm like, no.
Yeah, that was just so.
I would have been fine with Mazaz if he had.
You know it should have been? Dick Grayson.
Or that.
It should have been Dick Grayson or someone.
Robert,
if you didn't
I would have been fine with Mazaz, with Lex being Mazaz, if he was a good guy.
Yeah, but instead he's just as evil.
He's still bad. I'm like, what are you doing here?
Unless that was meant to imply for Lex to realize, wait, if I'm evil there, does that mean I'm supposed to be good here?
That did lead to him being.
So I think that's what he never played off of it, but I think that's what he was meant to go with.
I wish he would have referenced that. And I'm like,
because when you think about it, that does actually make sense. The way I phrased it right there, right? Like, it's like.
It does. Wait. It's like, yeah, if that's supposed to be the evil Earth, am I supposed to be good here?
Yeah.
The problem is, yes, they had a great run where he was being a good guy, and then they undermined it as soon as,
like... They undermined it because they needed... But, hey, it lasted longer than I thought. It lasted way longer than I thought.
Which is why, again, I don't think the current Lex being a good guy is going to last that long. It never lasts. Everything is cyclical.
I think it's going to be a case where he is going back to evil, but it's going to be redefine.
Also, I read the issue today. It's like with Lois giving up the powers. See, yes, they could give it back to her, but I think if you pay attention to what Lois says, I think that's DC editorial saying no, because she says, I'm good without the powers. I don't need them.
Well, to be fair, we all knew that was going to happen, but it could also be that, like Lex said, it's denial.
It's denial, but
which would make sense too, though. You can't have that sampling of that power and just go back right off lickety split.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, it's like it sets.
And would you?
It sets up some very interesting stories that they could definitely play off of.
Right, but you know, would you, if you had all that power and then lost it for good, would you go back to normal?
Let's be totally honest. Batman shouldn't have a plan against Wonder Woman because as a magically empowered person, she practically doesn't have a major weakness. Yeah, she does, because his weakness is his actual Tower of Babel weakness was that she will fight until her heart gives out.
That makes sense.
That makes sense.
I would say it was Paul writing to say that she had no weakness.
It wasn't like she had no weakness. It was Superman was her weakness. Like he was going to fight her.
Which is why he didn't want them to get together.
Here's how they could have salvaged this. I addressed this on Legacy. the way I would have done that, I would have still done the whole "you're her weakness," and I would have said, not because you could fight her, but because you're the only one who could talk her down.
That too.
See, they could have played off of that.
They could have, but nope.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, God, just stop. Which was I see crazy adapting justly doing with Wonder Woman. Yeah, I know. Let me put it this way: the weaknesses that they did, like the contingency plans for Doomed, I dug the way they did it. And we should probably cover Doom at one point. I don't think we've covered it, or like we covered it.
Didn't we? I could have sworn we did.
I think we did it years ago.
Before me. But I could have sworn I was there. I could have sworn I was there for it. I could have sworn.
You know what? I'm checking. So let me check that real quick. Okay, we did. And that was actually this year. Oh, well, I
thought so. I thought so.
This year. Okay.
I called it.
About that. Nice. Okay. So yeah, you were in there. Okay. Thank you.
That's why I brought it up, because we had talked about it before.
No. Batman addressed this. He's saying whatever level, she will fight until her heart gives out, no matter how long that is.
Exactly. And Jay, Wonder Woman is not let's not make Wonder Woman a Mary Sue because she's a goddess.
And plus, even
no one wants that. People are always annoyed when Superman is boring, invincible.
Plus, here's the other thing. If you go to like the Clay origin, which is the one that I assume is canon in Tower of Babel, in movie and comic, she's not even a demigoddess.
No, she's not. She wasn't. She was enhanced by
empowered, but that doesn't necessarily mean she's like immune to all things.
I mean, hell, one thing I always loved Alex Ross did in Absolute Justice was having Diana actually be. Remember, she's a golem.
Mm-hmm.
Her being flesh is not real flesh.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved it that how he had it be that she could actually break.
Yeah. So, and
but again, intense heat and everything, but she could break.
To be clear, Robert and I are huge Wonder Woman fans, so we're not saying this to undermine her. We're just saying let's be realistic.
It's just like we're saying, like when we talk about Superman's weaknesses, we're not trying to undermine him. We're being honest.
Because trust me, we don't want Wonder Woman to have no weakness. That just makes a boring character.
Again, same with Superman. There's a reason why I am always arguing with people who complain about Superman.
Yeah, because I put it this way: do some writers overplay how powerful he is? Yes, absolutely.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. We don't want that. I was just about to ask about being a golem. Yeah, she is a golem. Let's be honest.
And they address that in the comics as well. So it's not like with that. Oh, the kryptonite bullet, that made more sense because it's like
it was cliche though.
Well, here's the thing. In an animated movie marketed to kids, they can't have his skin clear. No way. True. No.
That's true. But also, I think that was a Vandal Salvage improv. I do not think that was the actual Batman contingency plan, because even Batman would not be that cruel. Because here's the other thing. How is it a contingency plan when that's banking on Superman still being a good guy? To save someone.
Mm-hmm.
Am I right?
Yeah. Also, Cameron says, also was.
Yeah. No. Super Friends.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was in Super
Cameron,
Friends.
he was in Super Friends. He was a big part of Super Friends.
I think.
Yeah. In fact, he was a big part of the whole death of Superman because he blamed himself for it.
Wait, they did DOS in Super Friends?
Okay. They even treated it like a funeral and everything, but it turns out he actually went into a meditative state that protected him from the kryptonite.
Was a Kryptonian healing coma? Is that what you're telling me?
No. Wasn't a healing coma. It was a meditative stance that just somehow made him immune to kryptonite, but he couldn't move. But they had to move his head. They had to break being in that pose for him to wake up. Hey, this is the same season that actually gave us the deaths of the Waynes with Adam West voice acting it, and yet they had to be like, Dick never knew.
Wow.
Like he never knew the origin of the death of the Waynes was a part of Bruce's history until that episode.
So a question: who is Batman to Ra's al Ghul, and who is he to Vandal Savage? Vandal Savage is more of a Justice League.
He's a Flash villain first, Justice League second. Flash first.
Vandal?
Yeah, he was a Flash villain.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about in between the two. He's more of a. That's why it made sense that he was like the villain in Doom, And it's like with Ra's al Ghul, I'm like, honestly, I don't think that was the right villain choice for Tower of Babel.
Well, yeah. Vandal has went from being a Flash villain to being an overall DCU villain.
Yeah, but
he was a Green Lantern villain first.
Yeah, I don't think Ra's was a good choice for the comic. I'm just gonna tell you that.
No, but it makes sense for him to be able to be the one to get it from Batman.
But well, yeah, with Talia, yeah, of course that kind of makes sense. But I feel like
I think that's more what it was. It's like Vandal had less likely to do it.
Yeah, but I think the way they countered that is like that makes sense because it's like he used Mirror Master, who's intangible, so none of the sensors are going to be able to see it.
And Cameron, I'm correcting myself. He was a Green Lantern villain first.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, he has since been an overall DC villain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those things that, again, the lesson of this show. Unfortunately, Dan Slott made Superman immune to kryptonite.
Oh, no. But we don't, NJ, we don't know the ins and outs of that yet. We just found out about it. Let's not just assume things.
We'll see.
I'm just saying, they just revealed it at the end. Let's find out where this is going.
But can I say, can they stop giving Superman more powers?
Right. But
that's the part where I'm like, okay, just stop, guys.
But to be fair, Phil K. Johnson also made him, powerful under a white sun.
No, sunlight makes sense, but like he can change his skin color to be even temporarily immune to kryptonite. I'm like,
again, we don't know what it is. We don't.
I trust Batman's like assessment of it.
I think that's why I'm saying I kind of agree with Pika on this one.
Yeah, but still, I'm like, in the movie, it made a little bit more sense.
But yeah, should we start wrapping up?
At least in my opinion. No, we're doing a Q&A.
Sorry, I thought we were. Sorry.
No, it's all good.
I thought you were wrapping up a moment ago. That's why I was asking.
No, it's all good. But it's like, the thing about this is like, now, again,
they just revealed it. That's why I'm not judging it yet. It was the end of the issue. Let's see where this goes before we judge it.
My opinion is just stop adding powers to Superman.
Oh, yeah, but again,
it's getting to the point where it's like he's getting to that Silver Age power level again.
Well, I'll say this. I don't know if this is actually a new form or new power, and it could be something else we don't know about. Maybe someone altered him and he's not aware of it.
But still, if that's somehow altered, because it's represented like he's immune to kryptonite, I go, oh, great, you just took
it. Could be a reference to DC 1 million.
But it involves the sun.
That's true. Again, they just revealed it. Let us be patient here. This is one thing I've had to learn as a comic fan. Be patient, wait and see. Get annoyed if it's taking forever to get to the point, but if it's just starting, wait and see.
Yeah, I will say, you know what I think is stupid and I hate that I'm not going to wait, is the having a Daily Planet office in every city. Now, with the Themyscira thing, I don't think they actually meant they're going to put an office in Themyscira. I think what they meant was it's like he's giving like a
general list.
Yeah, I don't think they're actually good because Themyscira has never had a new thing.
They can refuse.
They can refuse, yeah. But I think it's mainly, I don't think they actually meant we're going to put one on the island.
Yep, and that was, I think it was? It was to give them already get things going so they can put one in this new city that has all the kryptonite.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that was the point of it. So they can
say Slott has me interested in that now more criminals have access to kryptonite.
And I love how Superman was just like, I just have to work harder. He's not scared.
That's Superman. No,
I love that.
No, but it's like you took that idea of like, because that was always the
they wasted that. They wasted that after Superman Batman. They wasted it.
Yeah, because it was like that was always a weakness of kryptonite is that it's rare. Now you're making it so there's a good chance that like he's gonna be shot at with kryptonite. That's cool.
Yeah, but I said they did that when they brought Supergirl in, and they did nothing. They
never did anything with it.
In fact, they did a Superman Batman story where they got rid of it all. But even that was questionably canon because that whole run, that particular writer's run, was questionably canon at the end.
Yeah, so I'm like, at least they're doing something with that.
And I love this city. I love the fact that this weird mixed fictional country has all the kryptonite, and it's shot up into being one of the most richest cities in the world.
And then NJ says, him, one shine the World Forger, created the multiverse by...
He did not, okay. He did not, there was more to it than that.
Okay, explain it then.
Okay, sorry. Oh, no. He did absorbing that suns. But again, that took a lot of effort. There was a lot more to it than that. Yes, he had absorbed all that sun. But again, if he absorbed all that sun energy, yeah, he's going to be that powerful. But he's not going to do. But then also, he was doing this in another dimension where he can afford to do it because it wasn't filled with life. If he did it in our universe, the main universe, all those suns would have been drained.
I will say this.
And he would never do that.
It's kind of similar to an Apollo blasted him with sunlight, and he got ridiculously overpowered from that. So I'll give it that. I'll give it that.
Yeah. And
I like how they progressively. NJ does have a point with the whole they're trying to turn him into an omnipotent god.
I think they give him omnipotent. I think they give him omnipotent feats, but they always make it be unique circumstances.
No, I know that, but the fact that they're giving him all these ridiculous feats, it's almost approaching Bat God level.
No, and Pika Shades, I think they're going back to the whole kryptonite doesn't affect humans.
Yeah, because that's gone in and out like repeatedly throughout the
like they've already, and like we already know, Lex in this version had to not lose his hand and become a clone and all that. That I think is gone.
Yeah, Tevia says, I loved that moment. It reminded me of Dragon Ball Z, but with Superman. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, no. Sorry, go ahead. You can answer it, read it.
Doesn't justify being a multiversal being what's the point of the Justice League? Wonder Woman already feels useless on the team. I get what you're saying, but it's like actually, you know what? I do kind of agree with NG on this because they keep making Superman ridiculously powerful. What is the point of the Justice League?
Again, it was one circumstance, one event where he did it. He's not going to repeat that feat again.
No, but you're saying he could do that.
No, I'm not saying he could do that again.
No. They're saying, given those same circumstances, it could happen again.
But they're not going to happen again.
No. I know it's not going to happen, but the very fact that they did that once proves that it can't happen. That kind of overpowers him.
But and yet, Wonder Woman was able to deflect like a whole bunch of things in one story, and that's held as her speed feat.
Because that's already established. That's based on an already established power of being her speed of Hermes.
No. But they turned that up to even ludicrous degrees. That was beyond speed of Hermes.
Do you know how fast Hermes is?
Yes, and yes, but they were practically putting up into a feat that was given how far off the shared god was coming to Earth and how fast that went well beyond. That was practically Flash feat.
Yeah. Could the Crime Syndicate be a cash grab? No. I think in terms of movies and TV shows, stay away from the multiverse.
Again, look, the reason why I'm not upset with some of these feats with Superman is that, one, was it good for the story? Yes. Two, is it something where they're saying it is a permanent change? No. So it's not going to be something we're stuck with. I feel that's what I personally feel. When they do it in just one story, I judge it by the story first, and only will be upset if someone else brings it back and abuses it. Then I'll be annoyed with the story. If it was done, you get what I'm saying, right? If it was done just in the story and they're not going to repeat it again, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Still, it's like it puts that in there that like it makes that a possibility. That's where I'm like, no.
Again,
It says, question. Speaking of the Crime Syndicate, I was wondering, do you guys think we will see this new version of the Crime Syndicate fight the Justice League in the Mark Waid run? Depends on if he wants to win.
Yeah, it depends on if he wants to. Tevia.
I think the most multiversal crossover we'll get eventually with the Justice League is the absolute thing. That's it right now. I don't think it's going to overcomplicate.
That's why they cut him off.
Yeah, they cut them. That's what people forget. They literally cannot go to any other world in the multiverse. How impressive Wonder Woman is being the Phantom Stranger is. Do you think it's more impressive than the world?
No. Phantom Stranger is not. Phantom Stranger is not the right hand of the presence.
Is he? Hang on.
No, he's the Wandering Jew or things like that. No. That would be if she took out Spectre with one punch.
That's different.
Spectre isn't. Phantom Stranger is not that powerful. Never
if you
has
the
been.
Spectre, yeah, I would tell you that's kind of that is very impressive. I'll give you that.
But even the Spectre's not a Remember, World Forger's on par with the Anti-Monitor and the Monitor. And Superman has one punch the Monitor.
And the Anti-Monitor.
As I meant, the Anti-Monitor is what I meant. He has one punched him, so doing that to World
counterpoint, that was the Superman that was ridiculously overpowered.
Nope. That was Earth 2 Superman, who was not ridiculously overpowered.
That was Golden Age Superman.
Golden Age, not Silver Age.
Oh, yeah.
He was still
there.
So if he was still wait a minute, when? What are you talking about?
When did he do that?
He has operated. Here's the thing about the Spectre. He's not overpowerful, but he does have powerful manipulation. You get what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Like, he can be of a being who can confront the Spectre, but the Spectre has always made it very clear he can kick his butt.
By the way, Pika asks, is the Phantom Stranger still Judas? I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't written that
to be fair, the Spectre's always had a mysterious origin. But like I said, whenever the Spectre, in any of those moments where the Phantom Stranger is confronting the Spectre's always made it clear he could kill the Phantom Stranger.
By Abu Muhammad says, also, Krypton is too overpowered to, it should be like magic. He's not invincible to it. No. I disagree on that. I disagree on that because it's, let me put it this way, it's what kryptonite is. It's radioactive shards of Krypton's core. Yeah, that's gonna really adversely affect you.
Now I will say this. I prefer Jeff John having it be gold. Kryptonite does things temporarily, not permanent. I do not like that because that makes it OP. Can we agree to that?
Yeah,
that makes it OP.
Injustice, when he like takes out Superman with gold kryptonite, I'm like, and he goes, my powers will return. So I go, okay, you are doing that.
Yeah, but the fact you haven't been to the correct.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, I liked it being temporarily.
Which rule or just but seeing him become a member of the Justice League, I thought it was when was he on the Justice League?
No. Technically, he did become a member. Technically. At the end of that arc, but he was never a full member. It was more like an honorary member.
Right. Hal Jordan recently kicked the Unbound Spectre's ass.
But here's the thing. When the Spectre's unbound, he's unfocused.
Yeah, it's a different thing.
Yes, we've seen how powerful and dangerous the unbound Spectre can be during Day of Vengeance. Yes, but he's also wild. And
the World Forger joined the Justice League. Can I be honest? That's paramount to He Who Must Not Be Named, putting Naomi on the Justice League. He just wanted to elevate his OCs. And I go,
I only think he joined until they were dealt with Pandora. Not Pandora. I mean, Perpetua.
No, but I'm saying why Scott put him on the league.
No, I know. No, I think he put it on just because he could be there to help him until Perpetua was dealt with, which is what happened. Since Perpetua was dealt with, he was gone.
Being on the Justice League, what do you need the Justice League?
No, because he's not there to help him with the normal threats.
But it's
no. Dude, like I'm saying, it was only done so he can just be there and aid him for that one thing. Nothing else.
A member of the Justice League.
I don't think he was a full member. He barely appeared after that. So yeah, he wasn't a full member. It was more of an honorary member thing.
Yeah, BS.
But going back to the whole going back to the Hal thing, here's something else. Hal was the Spectre, so he has a better understanding of the Spectre.
Yeah, a lot of people don't remember that. But I
have to agree with Pika. Yeah, how hard can it be to make Chris Allen the Spectre again? Very true.
Yeah, which unfortunately Perpetua. That was waste. You
build
build up this villain so badass, and it just gets one shot by the Batman.
And then they revealed that turns out there was a bigger threat.
Yeah, and I go.
Now, granted, to be fair. The Great Darkness was more of what was implied to be what encouraged Perpetua to go her route, and then through Perpetua doing her manipulations.
But again, it's like, I don't like, oh, the Great Darkness is so crazy. It enslaved Darkseid. And I go, no.
Well, to be fair, we already know how dangerous the Great Darkness is.
Nah, I don't like having this enigmatic being that can do whatever the writer needs it to do. I'm like, no.
Yeah,
no.
but they're playing off of Alan Moore creation. Come on.
No. Alan Moore does not always create good stuff. I'm just going to tell you that right there.
Right.
So I still don't really
agree, because it did.
Yeah, it's like here's the problem with death metal. It's been all this time, but it was the combination of Perpetua being a big villain. Then all of a sudden it like goes, oh no, Batman Who Laughs is all powerful. Oh no, then Wonder Woman's all powerful. Oh no, then these hand people are the real powerful.
Well, to be fair, the hands I actually liked, because that took on. But seriously, as a hardcore Wonder Woman fan, Dan needs to. Why does she need to?
No, it doesn't. Why Clark gets all the love? Well, it's because
he's Superman.
Because he's Superman. That's the thing. Well, Wonder Woman has fought like multiversal beings.
Well, if you count Darkseid, yeah.
She kicked Darkseid's ass. Yeah, exactly.
Now, granted,
there's only one Darkseid.
Granted, no. She's kicked his ass before that happened. I don't know if she's kicked his ass since this happened.
Rebirth.
She helped take him down.
Nope,
I don't think.
Nope. Rebirth in her book when.
Wait. Oh, you mean when Robinson? Yeah. But to be fair, he had just regained his form.
He's still Darkseid.
And he had Zeus's power.
I think that's a good feat in and of itself.
I gotta still say that story. It makes no sense in the long run.
Yeah, I know.
Especially like, wait, so they killed off Zeus. How is he back?
Yeah, I will give Death Metal one thing and one thing only.
Yes.
It did help Wally West Flash. Yeah, I got with him. Yeah, I'm like, okay, that works. I'm cool with that.
Agreed.
Yeah, exactly. Death Metal was one of those stories where I'm like, here's the thing. The problem with Death Metal is that first off, and Comic Historian and Pop talked about this, when they first saw the outline for Death Metal, it was a relatively contained event. Then COVID happens and they're like, expand it.
And Scott decided he was going to stick around because Dan left. Scott's like, okay, I'm not leaving.
Yeah, so I'm like, you're gonna, and again, it's like the Batman Who Laughs. The way you give the Dr. Manhattan powers to the Batman Who Laughs.
You can't have a Bruce who decides to replicate it.
No, you put his brain in the
Batman.
Who
I know. By the way, wait a minute. When is Batman taking out a multiversal threat on his own? Because Cameron just said that.
Never.
Batman is never on his own, with his own two hands, done it.
And
he's bluffed Darkseid. He's bluffed him.
He shot Darkseid.
That too, but even then, Darkseid was already,
Does her damage upside down, man, count as a?
I'd say so, given how the Great Darkness enslaved the upside down man. Yes,
that counts. Here's the thing: Wonder Woman has done some pretty badass stuff. Let's not downplay that.
And come on, we have the regular norm. No, wait a minute. Her feats during her time on the Planet of the Gods.
Yeah, exactly. She's done so much badass stuff. In fact, arguably, you could argue she's done more kick-ass
and Cameron,
no, than Superman has.
Cameron, no, that does not count. A bluff does not count.
No, a bluff does not count. Shooting Darkseid with a bullet designed to
kind of counts, but that's not his own power. And that was Darkseid's own bullet.
No, but still, it was still like Batman without a suit, without like God armor or something like that.
Yeah, that's true. But like I said, all the threat did was he would have made Apocalypse too hospitable even for Darkseid, thus damaging his kingdom. Yeah, that does not count.
Pika, I agree. He should have been like an overpowered god. I'm like, no, come on, stop.
I think the only reason why you could justify it is the fact that Pandora was, not Pandora, I keep saying that, Perpetua. Boy, Pandora, talk about a wasted character.
Yeah, I know, right? There's so much that you could, but a character.
Did they have to kill her? Did they have to kill her?
Wait. Robert, not only that, a wasted character that was set up since the beginning of all throughout the New 52.
I feel like that's the only reason why they killed her. I think that's the only reason why they killed her. She represented the New 52.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's why, because when you think about it, given what happened with Doomsday, it made no sense. They don't even mention him killing. That was the one thing, with the exception of the button, none of the setup ever paid off.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Mr. Oz being Jor-El didn't pay off. Older and Tim from the Titans of Tomorrow story didn't pay off.
The button really didn't pay off.
But it was the closest, because at least Batman knew, it at least referenced Batman finding the button.
See, here's the funny thing. That whole arc of rebirth of like the Watchmen kind of thing, that really should have ended with the button story. That's it.
Yeah. Then leading into, because like I said, the fact that they even had to undo the Atom, they retconned the dialogue from the DC Rebirth one shot.
Yeah, and NJ, I see what you're saying. Let me put it this way. Take Wonder Woman in the movie, the 2017 movie, and in Justice League. Badass.
Wait a minute. When, aside from that one stupid drawing, when is Punisher and all that beat her?
Yeah, I got.
He's talking about fans. Those fans are idiots. Those
are Marvel fans that will say any Marvel fan will beat any DC character. That's it.
Come on, if anyone who's seen Wonder Woman, they know Punisher can do it because she just deflected all. For anyone that's really think
those three characters cannot be Wonder Woman.
And I'm positive majority of fans know that. Majority of legitimate and normies know it.
The only people that say that those three can beat her are the Marvel zombies. And
I'm sorry, those people who believe it are not even the so-called comic fans. I'm sorry, that's a bad assumption to think those are the so-called.
They're Marvel supremacists. That's what it is.
Yeah, so neither the casuals nor the so-called comic fans think that.
Yeah, because all you need is a surface level of Wonder Woman to know she can definitely be Punisher and Iron Man because she deflects bullets, and Iron Man and Punisher are just dudes. And as for Wolverine, still, she could beat Wolverine.
And Wolverine wouldn't even fight her.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not really like...
I would say this. Iron Man might give her a bit of a challenge.
It depends on what suit he's using, but ultimately she's going to get through that suit, so...
Well, yeah, I'm saying it'd be a badass fight.
Yeah, Cosmic Ghost Rider...
Oh!
No.
Nope. He's not that powerful.
No, he's not that... People think Cosmic, and he has the power Cosmic...
Oh, no, to be fair, Surfer would give her a challenge. Can we agree to that?
Surfer would give her a challenge. I still think Wonder Woman would win.
Well, yeah. But, I'd say a demi-goddess Wonder Woman would.
You mean Zeus' daughter?
Yeah, made of clay. That's up in the air.
Debatable, but she is empowered by multiple gods.
That's true, but remember, she's empowered in different fields.
Yeah, but like a lot of them complement each other, like with the speed and the combat prowess.
But like I said, like NJ, I get where you're going with that viewpoint, but I think now you're going a little too.
Do not take the assumptions of Twitter seriously. I'm just going to tell you that right there.
Exactly, and yes, it is extremely sad and annoying. It is, but that doesn't represent normies and comic fans.
Yeah, exactly, NJ. And to be clear, NJ, we're not charging you. I'm just trying to help you. Do not take those people seriously.
I agree with that. Do not take them seriously. I agree.
Let me put it this way. I joke when I say that Batman would beat Goku. That's a troll right there.
And the Panda Sun fan film, I don't remember how that went, but even if it went in Wolverine's favor, that's a joke. No one takes those seriously.
Actually, Wonder Woman won. But the thing is, they do this thing where if the voting is close enough, they
the alternate ending.
Wonder Woman still won that.
Yep, but I'm saying no. But even that, everyone knows those were a fan vote.
Yeah, it's a fan vote. So, and plus, here's the thing: that's the only reason why Wonder Woman beat Storm in DC versus Marvel, because you're talking about an event that happened during the X-Men peak.
Thankfully, even the alternate ending shows it was respectful.
It was respectful, but I'm saying the defeat itself. If it's a fan vote at the point where the X-Men were at their peak popularity, the X-Men are going to win.
They really stacked the deck.
Yeah, in many polls, Wonder Woman loses. Don't trust those polls.
No, don't trust those polls. Again, I'll say this. Nowadays, will Storm win the poll? No.
Okay, and NJ, I'm going to tell you this. Anyone that tells you that like Punisher, Iron Man, or Wolverine, for instance, could beat Wonder Woman doesn't know the character.
Yeah, that I'd say look at their history, their posting history. Just there, and you'll probably see they're morons.
There are people that only talk about who on Twitter, and I did a tweet about this. There are people that are more concerned with who Diana sleeps with.
Because they're shippers. It's a toxic shipping that just care about who bangs who.
And again, NJ, let me put it this way. I'm never going to say I'm a Wonder Woman, I'm a comic expert, because no one can really make that assertion.
No.
I'm just going to say I know more than the average person, particularly about Wonder Woman. I'm going to make that Robert and I and Britt, I think we're pretty close to knowing a lot about Wonder Woman.
And that though, like I said, I am confident that that worst case scenario you gave is false. That no one, casuals and normies, do not think Wolverine and Punisher could beat on Wonder Woman. Iron Man maybe, but that's because they don't have. No. I'm saying because they don't have any full knowledge. But even then, I don't think they would say it would be an easy victory.
Yeah. Question. Speaking of Death Metal, that reminds me, how do you guys feel about the whole Omniverse thing? I think it was poorly explained.
Yes.
Because the way they represented it in the book and in the explanation was everything's canon, all their memories are locked. That was a really crappy. If they had represented it in the book and in the marketing as there is a multiverse world for everything, that's fine. But the way they said it is everyone remembers their entire history. And I go, what?
Okay, they remember everything that was ever wiped out from a crisis.
But for origins, I'm like, okay.
Origins? They didn't think that through. whatsoever.
That's the problem with that. And I go, at least explain. If you had explained it as,
that's why we're getting the book.
Here's the explanation. Don't say everything's canon. Just say no matter what you want, like DTCB, there is a multiverse world where that happens.
That's what originally, and also with the Omniverse. An Omniverse is a multiverse of multiverses.
Yeah.
Meaning you're going to have pockets of multiverses within it that aren't affected by the overall multiverse.
Yeah. I think that they say Wolverine because he has regen in the long run.
No.
Deadpool beat him by making it so he's perpetually hit by acid. That's it. Done.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And that's
like saying Deadpool
thing. Well, let me put it this way. Remember when Wolverine died because they suffocated him in adamantium?
Or remember how he died because he got vaporized by a sentinel?
Yeah, so even that is not as absolute, pun intended, as some people say. So I'm like, yeah, but again, Marvel fans, like the really intense fanboys, will overhype the Marvel character.
Oh, geez. Have you seen that image of the Sentry sitting in a chair and everyone, all the Super XPs and Superman himself are kneeling before him like,
Yeah, no. So the Sentry's not beating Superman.
No.
He'll give him a run for his money. He'll be
probably one of the biggest challenges.
Yeah, but he's not going to beat Superman. It's like, Robert Cookman saying saying Omni-Man could beat Superman. I go, no.
He's just promoting his own character.
And by the way, I get what you're saying, but her villain situation is even more sad. No, people think Kraven easily beats Cheetah.
It depends on the version of Cheetah.
Depends on the version, but yeah. Again, let me put it this way. If Marvel fans are going that crazy, ignore them. Ignore them.
I hate to say this.
Let me put it this way. I'm a Wonder Woman fanboy. I love the character. Even I will admit that Kratos would defeat her.
Now, I'll say this. I don't think giving her new adaptations and in animation and other media is going to solve that as fast as you think, NJ.
I think it's just ignore those people and don't give them attention.
I mean, would you agree with that? Would you agree with that? It's like, it's not going to solve that problem as fast as I think NJ believes it will.
I think, okay, here's what you have to understand. If there's any, like, annoying people on social media, whether or not that's even toxic Snyder fans, toxic shippers, ignore them. Because all they're doing is this for attention. If you deprive the attention, they will pivot to get that attention back.
Exactly. Again, I'm not. We're just trying to help you get out of this negative mind state, NJ. That's all we're trying to do.
Yeah. Because we like you, NJ.
Yeah, you're good. You're a good person. We're just trying to say, don't stop going down this train of thought. It's not helping.
All you're gonna do, because that's the thing with me. I hate Tom King's Wonder Woman, but I'm focusing on Wonder Woman runs that I enjoy. That's it.
Find your comic book joy. Exactly. And I know it's one thing to want fans to think all this, but don't start assuming because of some of this handful of hateful people, they represent the majority. They don't.
Do not. Quick, speaking of Wonder Woman, that reminds you, did you guys think they were being the leader of the Justice League Dark? That was so cool.
I love that. Her being part of the Justice League Magic team makes sense.
Makes sense. That makes such sense. Yes, mute them.
Yep. Blocking them does make them think they won. Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the other run that I really want to get in omnibus form. They have it, so I just need.
I have all the issues.
Yeah, but again, and I've heard James Tynion writes a great Wonder Woman.
He does, and it tied into Wonder Woman during the her becoming taken over by Hecate.
Yeah, so I'm like, I definitely want.
And that eventually led to the dark multiverse one shot.
Yeah, I definitely have to check because it makes sense. Of all the characters on the Trinity, yeah, she would lead the magic one.
Exactly. If it's not Zatanna, who was on the team, Zatanna probably the only other one I think who'd be a competent leader.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh, Cameron just said that.
Yeah, I'm skeptical. Yeah, yeah, and didn't they do that in the new 52 version of the team?
Yeah, but she was also on the younger side. But here's the other thing. Wait, did Wonder Woman even lead them, or was she just on the team?
Like this way, you know why Wonder Woman was put on the Justice League Dark? I have a feeling to improve, to like get more people to buy the book.
Yep. Oh, by the way, yes, agree with you, NJ.
Yeah. Oh, they are so great. Yeah, 100%.
I'll think. Unfortunately, you do know there's probably some shippers out there for that.
There's shippers for Damien and John, dude.
Hey, I'll say this: I wouldn't be against Zatanna and Diana, and I'm all in an else world. In an else world.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
Not in canon.
Wait,
not in canon.
Back up Wonder Woman ship. You know what it is, Robert? Assuming that I could, I know that it's in a similar situation with Clark, Aquaman.
Yep.
Because they both understand like the being.
I agree completely.
And balancing, I'm like, yeah, I could definitely see that working.
And yes,
not Flashpoint. I want to be clear on that.
Oh yeah, but yeah, Tynion definitely respected Cersei and Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly, and that's why I definitely want to check it out because literally every Wonder Woman fan I talked to has said, pick up that run. You will not be.
Yeah, agreed. And it tied in, like I said, it tied into Orlando's run.
Yeah, and I enjoyed Orlando's run. I'm just gonna tell that right there.
Okay. Yep. Agreed. Yep.
I think that it's a good place to leave it. We had a great conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So first off, the movie's like, in my mind, it's like an 8.5 to a 9 out of 10.
Yep. Now, agreed.
For the point that Robert and I want to leave you guys with, do not take the opinions of random people on Twitter and YouTube as fact.
Yeah.
Even I say, take what I say with a grain of salt and research it yourself. And if you tell me I'm wrong, I would be, and obviously you have to be civil about it. If you correct me on stuff, I will 100% own that.
And I'll say this, if you see what seems to be a large number of people agreeing, I'm not saying assume they're bots, but at least consider they might be, a lot of them be bots.
Or it's an echo chamber. That's really
Or an echo chamber. Echo chamber.
That's
so
really
yeah,
go.
Exactly.
But so Robert, where can we find you and what have you got
everything's down below, and I have Pro Teaches Noob recorded a couple of videos, and this coming week it's going to be Blackest Night week. Every day from Monday through Friday, Peek and I goes over different elements of Blackest Night. In my opinion, one of my favorite DC events. One of the gold standards for DC events.
It is how to do a DC event. For me, on Monday, Britt and I are releasing Super Wonder Legacy episode 95, where we talk about the original intentions of Superman and Wonder Woman, their creators, and how it aligns with the relationship. For Wonder Woman Wednesday, I'm talking about her relationship with the gods. And for movie night next week, I think it's your pick, Robert.
I think so. A quick question, though. When you do talk about the gods, are you going to talk about New 52 Earth 2 being with the Roman gods?
No.
All right, just a thought. But yeah, so for next week, I'm going to think about that. I was going to do 60s Batman, but I might do something else. Let me think on it.
Yeah, it's all good.
And no, I got it. Mm-hmm. The animated Watchmen movies.
Are all of them on Max?
I think, let me check if they are. Well, actually, I don't have access to Max, so I don't know. But I do have certain ways of sharing it with you guys.
Okay, if you want to do that, that works for me.
I mean, and we do both of them, obviously.
Well, yeah. And then in terms of other content that'll be announced as we go on. But anyway, stay heroic, everyone. Remember, Lois Lane is Lois Lane. She belongs to General Zod, or Ultraman in this case. Zois and Max about for life. I will see you later. Bye-bye.